to order. Due to circumstances, the president and the vice president are unable to attend, and I would advise that we would entertain a motion and a second and a vote to adopt someone or elect someone as the chairperson for the meeting.
I make a motion for Lori to preside over the meeting.
I would second that motion.
Are there any other nominations? Would you call for a vote?
Could be acclamation.
I make a motion to close the motion.
Second. That means it's done, right?
No, we have to vote by roll call.
Pardon me?
It's a requirement.
Okay.
We need a roll
A
call.
roll call is necessary.
Right.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Kuzic?
Lori?
Oh, so, well, we close the nomination, so it's yes, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Mr. Giovanni?
Yes.
Mr. Goffredo?
Yes.
Mr. Lott?
Yes.
Ms. Vargo Hefner?
Am I allowed to say myself? Yes.
Ms. Zirinsky? The motion passes by a vote of 7-0.
Do I have to move?
I'm sorry.
Okay, well then, welcome to the September 21st, 2023 meeting. Could we please have someone lead us in the pledge? How about Mr. Giovanni?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Could we have a moment of silence? Ms. Shafnisky, will you call the roll?
Mr. Brown?
Here.
Mr. Kuzic?
Present.
Mr. Giovanni?
Here.
Mr. Goffredo?
Here.
Mr. Heckman? Mr. Lott?
Here.
Mr. Myers? Ms. Vargo Hefner?
Here.
And Ms. Zirinsky?
Here.
7 present with Mr. Myers and Mr. Heckman absent.
Thank you. Could we have a motion to approve the minutes of September 7th, 2023 meeting? Mr. Lott?
I'll second.
Second, Ms. Zirinsky. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? Is there any courtesy of the floor? No one signed in? No one wants to speak? Moving on. I have been informed that the county executive is unable to attend this meeting, so there'll be no county executive report. We have old business, public hearing of an ordinance entitled, an ordinance amending the 2023 Northampton County Budget, Department of Community and Economic Development, ARP Fiscal Recovery Fund, Community Development Grant, Department of Fiscal Affairs, Balancing the Budget, Department of Administration, Farmland Preservation, Conduct of Elections, Department of Court Administration, Problem-Solving Courts, Department of Public Works, Act 13 Environmental Initiative, Department of Human Services, Area Agency on Aging, Early Intervention. Ms. Zirinsky and myself introduced this ordinance on September 7th at 2023 meeting. Are there any questions or comments from the public? Hearing and seeing none, are there any questions or comments from council? Mr. Cusick?
Yeah, I had a question, maybe for Mr. Barron. Typically, we get a significant amount of human services amendments as a result of the passage of the state budget. There's very few in here. Has the failure of the legislature to pass a timely budget affected the normal course of the way we would do our amendments?
So actually, this is early. This particular budget is a bit early because this amendment, because we had a couple grants that we needed to start spending right away because of the way they were programmed. So there will be another November amendment, which will cover all of the changes in the state budget for the remainder of this year and into next year for the, they will be put into the next budget. So it will cover the new budget for this year, and then we get it at year end.
Okay, so the one we would typically get that would reflect changes as a result of the Commonwealth budget.
Correct.
we're not seeing here because you've moved this one up and you will see those in
Yes.
one later this year.
Yep.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions? Sorry, any other questions? Hearing and seeing none, I'll call for the vote.
Mr. Gafredo?
Yes.
Mr. Lot?
Yes.
Ms. Fargo Hefner?
Yes.
Ms. Zirinsky?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Kusick?
Yes.
Mr. Giovanni?
Yes.
Adopted by a vote of 7-0.
Thank you. Is there any other old business to discuss this evening? Hearing and seeing none. Next, we have the introduction of an ordinance entitled, "An Ordinance by Northampton County Council Authorizing the County of Northampton, Eastern Pennsylvania to lease a certain portion of property located at 428 Gaffney Hill Road, City of Easton, Northampton County, Pennsylvania." We need a sponsor for this ordinance.
I'll sponsor it.
Need a co-sponsor?
May I ask a question before we move ahead? Isn't Gaffney Hill Road, isn't that in Williams Township?
It's in Williams Township, but it
But
doesn't, it
this-
has an Easton address.
Yeah, we do have Easton address there, but it's not located in the city of Easton. It's located in Williams Township, and this says located at
Oh, I see what you're saying.
city of Easton. So I guess
Should we
my
amend
question
it?
is, we can introduce the ordinance, but my suggestion will be at some point that we amend that to say Williams Township.
Can you amend, I don't think you can amend something that's not introduced.
You
Or
have
do you
to
want to change it
introduce-
before it's introduced? How do we?
Why don't we do the following? My suggestion would be is to introduce it as it is. I will check the map block and lot number.
There you go.
I will check the map block and lot number, and then if it is in another locality, we can amend it when we consider the,
There you go.
the ordinance.
So can I have a co-sponsor, Mr.
I'll
Cusick?
co-sponsor that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The public hearing, public comment, and vote will be held on possible vote, October 5th, 2023. Next, we have the introduction of an ordinance entitled, "An Ordinance of Northampton County, Pennsylvania, Providing for a Real Estate Tax Credit for Certain Active Northampton County Volunteer Firefighters and Volunteer EMS Personnel Residing in Northampton County." I'd like to sponsor this. Can I please have a co-sponsor?
I'll co-sponsor. Oh, so,
I got it. Public hearing, debate, and possible vote, October 5th, 2023. Next, we have the introduction of an ordinance entitled, "A Request for Proposal Seeking Bidders to Design and Implement Upgrades to the Audio and Visual Capabilities of the County Council Meeting Room." Mr. Giovanni, would you like to sponsor?
Yes.
And would someone co-sponsor? Mr. Gafredo. Public hearing, debate, possible vote, October 5th, 2023. Next, we have the consideration of a personnel request resolution, Department of Administration, Farmland Preservation. Mr. Giovanni, would you please introduce this?
Yes. Oh. By Northampton County Council, it is hereby resolved by Northampton County Council that one full-time position of farmland preservation technician, pay grade RU-GR-24, salary $48,464, shall be created in the Department of Administration Farmland Preservation effective September 22nd, 2023.
Thank you. This was discussed yesterday at Personnel Committee meeting. Are there any questions?
no.
Discussion? Call for the vote.
Mr. Lot?
Yes.
Ms. Fargo Hefner?
Yes.
Ms. Zirinsky?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Kusick?
Yes.
Mr. Giovanni?
Yes.
Mr. Gafredo?
Yes.
Passes by a vote of 7-0.
Thank you. Next, we have the consideration of an administrative code, Article 13 contract resolution, PMA Management Corps. Mr. Cusick, will you introduce the resolution?
Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Northampton County Council does hereby concur with the recommendation of the county executive as set forth in the attached documentation to approve an amendment to a contract with PMA Management Corp. And the terms of the contract are for 5 years at a price of $487,000 for claims administration services. And this was discussed at the Finance Committee yesterday.
Right.
Thank you. Is there any discussion on the matter? Call for the vote.
Mr. Lot?
Yes.
Ms. Fargo Hefner?
Yes.
Ms. Zirinsky?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Kusick?
Yes.
Mr. Giovanni?
Yes.
Mr. Gafredo?
Yes.
Passes by a vote of 7-0.
Thank you. Is there any other new business to discuss this evening?
No.
County Council Committee reports. Any council committee reports? We'll start with you and we'll come around.
All right, well, okay, today, the Citizens for Responsible Development, Lower Saucon Township chapter, came in and gave a presentation on the situation concerning the Bethlehem landfill expansion. I will be working with Mr. Spadoni to create a resolution, and most of us were present for that. It was a rather lengthy presentation, so I'm not going to reiterate too much of it. And that was all that was on our agenda.
Mr. Brown, would you give the Finance Committee report? Since you were on and you were here.
Okay, I was here. I don't recall everything that was, I don't have my notes. The Finance Committee met. They talked through several items, most of which were addressed, I believe, on the agenda today.
It's the lower one.
Thank you. Hold on, yeah.
I'm here to help.
Which we approved introduced the ordinance on the antenna site lease. We did have a conversation regarding the CARES and ARPA funds presented by the administration, the PMA contract, which we just approved, and the introduction of the ordinance on the audiovisual upgrade for the county council.
Thank you. Mr. Fredo.
We had a capital projects and operation committee meeting. Talked about a number of projects at Graysdale, the prison, parks, but most notably, the parking deck repairs. Mr. Cusick had brought up the point that the parking deck repairs would increase the life of the parking deck about 3 years, so he requested that we begin the process of discussing with architects and long-term planning for the possibility of a new parking deck. That's it.
Mr. Cusick, would you give a report on the Governance Committee?
Yeah, yesterday the Governance Committee met. Item of discussion was the public comment period at county council meetings, and seeing as how it was not an issue tonight, I think we were well within our judgment to not make any recommended changes. There was a lengthy discussion regarding the conservation district, and I believe we've received some additional information from the administration in that regard. And I don't know if Mr. Dertinger wanted to maybe add to that, because I can barely read the print that he provided, so.
Thank you. And personnel met yesterday. The fruits of our labor were addressed today. There was also a discussion about the union contracts regarding Graysdale and respect to the nurses and their pay scales. And that's it, I think. The only thing I would add in as a future is that there's a possibility that I would be moving the Human Services Committee next month instead of the first week to the second series of meetings in the month, only because there has been a request to speak with children and youth and have a full report from them. And the director is going to be on vacation, and she was not available last month either. So I'd like to make it so that she could be here to answer questions. So so I'm not canceling it for the month, but I just want to maybe move it so that she could be present and available.
Reschedule. Got it.
And that's it. That's any liaison reports.
So the Lehigh Valley Economic Development Corporation met, and we had a full agenda, but two things really stand out. The new manufacturing apprenticeship program is beginning. It's a move to train individuals for manufacturing around here, industrial training and education in a consortium in the Lehigh Valley with various schools. That was of interest. And then also, they filed a application for Lehigh Valley Technology Innovation Hub. So there was a proposal for that, and 247 unique applications were created. It is an application to help advance this area as a tech hub for like processors or microchips or things like that, so that we could fill these warehouses with manufacturing and technology, right? So it was a 75-day application. So we're just gonna wait for that. There's 30 tech companies in the Lehigh Valley, 1,500 jobs, $117,000 is the mean wage, so it would be very highly beneficial for us to become, or be designated as a technology hub. And one of the other things that the Lehigh Valley Economic Development Corporation talks about a lot is their talent pool. We have one of the largest talent pools of, I think it's individuals like 25 to 35 moving here into the area, which dovetails into the next meeting I went to, which was Pennsylvania's, not Pennsylvania, but the United Way's presentation on the childcare crisis in the Lehigh Valley. They came up with some leaflets and handouts that I'll give, and they talked about how there were, let me see my notes, because it was really pertinent to the idea that there's a crisis that is going to affect us economically if we don't start to address it soon. So it puts pressure, well, not having childcare puts pressure on individuals, but the cost of childcare for an infant classroom, for example, is $8,960 per year. That's a real burden on families whose the mean average income is $56,000. They talked about the impact of children growing up in homes where they can't get childcare, where parents are stretched so far, the mental health challenges, and 17 centers closed in the region because of lack of workers being paid what they need to be paid, a lack of a workforce. And that really puts kids at risk to be home alone or neglected or put into other forms of childcare. So there's an 84% staffing shortage. So along with this nursing crisis that has come along from COVID, this childcare crisis is another one. And I think one of the proposals that was made for policymakers like us is to be the lead in establishing childcare. And I was really happy to be able to say that we are leading the way in childcare because we have that pilot program coming on in Graysdale. And there were individuals from the child care group running it there. They said they think that it might open towards March. And I just think we're really progressive in that area. So thank you.
Any other liaison reports?
This isn't a report, but it's kind of a question. Kevin, you're still our jail liaison. Am I correct? I think most of us watched in horror as the Chester County had federal agents fanned out across a vast area. And I had a lot of people ask me, well, John, could that happen here? And I guess my question is, in light of that, is now a good time for the jail to maybe take a look and see, can that happen here? And what are we doing to prevent something like that? Is that something that has been brought up or discussed? Because I had a lot of people ask me that. Has that been raised there?
Well, the quick answer to that is yes, it has been, and it's an ongoing evaluation that they do. I mean, I didn't realize how involved the prison system is. I mean, everything they look at, from every piece of material they bring into that prison has to be approved. So I get what you're saying, John, and it might be a good time to bring Courts and Corrections, to bring our warden in and just ask him to double check so we don't, because what a nightmare that was down there, and we certainly don't want to live with it. But I do know that, that is their priority on an ongoing basis, because this happened down there, a fresh look, sure, I think that might be a good idea for the board, but no, it has not been brought up as a fresh look, no.
Any other reports?
Can I just make a correction? I said 17 were closed. It's actually 27, sorry. 27 closed, 667 kids on wait lists. 96% staffing shortage in Northampton County.
Last week, the Discover Lehigh Valley met at Wind Creek. I was on Zoom. They discussed occupancy rates, which are fairly stable, but down a little bit in the valley, but nothing of concern, nothing back to where we were. It's incremental. And then they showed the branding changes, which I really liked. It's a new logo. It seems like they're infusing a lot of things, and that you're going to get like a one hit, and then it's going to pop up with all the different things that we have going on in the valley. So it's nice to see everybody working together, and everything sort of, what's the word I want to say?
Synergy.
Okay, I'll take it, because I can't find it. Thank you. And then tomorrow is our Region 6 CCAP meeting here in the Lehigh Valley. It will be at St. Luke's Sacred Heart Auditorium, and it will be from 11:30 to 2 p.m., and RSVP was required, but let me know, and I'll see if I can sneak you in. We have a good amount of people that have registered, and it seems to be a nice mix of legislators, commissioners, and mental health professionals. So I'm hoping for a good discussion. That's it for me. Council clerk's report.
None?
I have a question. First day of budget hearings? October 11th? And what day are we getting the budget? Because that'll be before? Thank you. So, 4:30?
It's at 3:30, I believe we begin all budget hearings at 3:30.
3:30? 4:30?
4:30? Sorry.
We have to check. To be continued. We haven't we?
And we have also moved the budget amendment hearing from the day before Thanksgiving to the day prior to that. So that one will be on a Tuesday.
Yes.
So a schedule will be going out as soon as we get the budget.
Linda is stating from the corner far, far away from the mic that a schedule will be coming out, final schedule will be coming out as soon as we get the budget. Thank you. And is solicitor's report.
Nothing.
I have a question for you. Everyone wants to go home because we stayed so long. We brought up, what did we bring up yesterday? We wanted to make sure, we wanted to ask you, remind you to look into that question with the Conservation District, because there seemed to be a question about what we can do and what we can do and what council's role is. And I know that you've already opined on it, but it seemed to have been brought up again yesterday in question, so if we could get an absolute answer, is that correct? Is that the only thing that we wanted to know?
My only comment would be, is if that's the request, I probably would need about a week to 10 days, because I want to gather some information. I probably want to talk to both parties and the solicitor's office and everybody that's concerned, so I have as much information as I can gather to give you some type of direction and opinion.
Right, because yesterday, people saying, yes, you can, no, you can't, and so we were looking to you to find that. And then there was one other question we had, about the fire, and, say that again?
A rebate.
I think he did it when I wrote it, but he's gonna,
I had raised that question, but I felt it was asked and answered appropriately, yeah.
Mr. Lotto, you asking for an opinion?
No, I'm fine. I just thought that was brought up yesterday, but Mr. Brown
Thank you.
just wanna make sure we're ready, so. And should it be a rebate or a credit, because that was also brought up yesterday as well. Okay, anything else? Call for an adjournment.
Motion to adjourn.
Who was second? Cusick made it to second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thanks.
Robert's rules says